Some behind the scenes footage, y'all. Here is Rex. Rex, hey, sit. Oh, hyper and happy. Hi, baby. Go lay down. Good boy. Here is my desk. I use it for studying during the evenings after school and from the weekends as well. I got my little shredder there so I can shred any PII that comes through the mail. And yeah, this is my setup, guys. This is like where I live all hours of the day when I'm not at school. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing a video on how I got into military PA school. I'm going to give a little background about myself first, and then I'll launch into what the application process is like, what my stats were as far as GPA, SAT, shadowing hours, stuff like that, and then some tips that I think maybe will help you guys if you are in the military and you are seeking to apply for Ipap, the Inter-Service Physician Assistant Program. So I joined the military January of 2013, and I've been in for a little over 5 years now. I applied at my 4-year mark, January of 2017. All the dates are running together now that I'm like actually doing what I really want to do. But yeah, so I've been in 5 years, and I didn't know anything about what a PA was before I joined. I actually learned from my first supervisor because for some reason I wanted to be like a peds nurse. Don't know why, not want to do that now. No disrespect, but just not for me. And my supervisor was like, hey, why don't you go to PA school? I'm like, I don't know what a PA is, but I'll look into it. Once I found out what a PA was, I really liked the scope of practice and how they're very similar to what a doctor can do. They can, you know, see their own patients, prescribe, diagnose, and such, do their own follow-ups and whatnot. So that's what led me to do that, and I really love how there's so much lateral movement. That's the word I'm looking for. There's so much lateral movement in the profession. So, you know, when you're like in the civilian world, you can go from ER to peds to cardiology, like anything you can think of, like you can do it without having to go specialized 4 years like you have to do being an MD, and it's just so much easier. And I love to learn, and I love to try new things, and I don't want to have that big gap of going back and doing like a residency and whatnot, like if I want to change my mind and do something else maybe 5 years later. So that's a little bit about me and why I wanted to be a PA. I chose to be a PA in the military because it's just a phenomenal program. I literally do not have to get off active duty. I'm still staying active duty, still getting my pay grade. 29 months count toward my 20 years of service if I choose to do 20. And I still have my medical benefits. I have everything. The only thing that's different is I just don't go to work and I don't have to supervise people anymore. Here are some things that I did when I was applying for PA school. So the first thing I did when I was looking to apply for PA school is look at the Word document that they publish every year to see what the requirements were. And then I went down line by line and just looked at like everything that I needed to have. And I looked at any like deadlines that were due before the actual package was due. Because there were a couple, I don't know if there are now because things have changed since the last cycle, since when I applied. So things are a little different now, but not by much, but they're different. So first things first is I looked at the classes that I needed to take, and I went ahead and took those prereqs at the local community college because it's a lot cheaper and TA was able to fully cover it. I understand some of you guys can't go in person to do some of your classes, so you can definitely do them online. I know they're a little bit pricier, but if you plan things out, you plan your classes out, and like with your TA or your annual TA, like you'll be fine and you'll be able to figure it out. All right, so how I got into PA school. So number one is I learned my enlisted profession. I came in as an optometry tech, a 4VOX1, and I learned how to do that job inside and out, being a technician, and then I learned how to be an NCO once I became an E5. So with that, not only did I like master the patient care aspect of it, but I also managed the managerial aspect and learning how to manage people and such. Number 2, EPRs, or yearly performance reports. I'm not sure what other branches call it, but yearly performance reports are huge. You need to have good EPRs. They don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be, firewall 5s, or you don't have to get a high strat. You don't even have to get a strat at all. You just need to make sure that you don't have any bad things on your EPR, and you have a few good things that stand out that make you seem like, or hopefully you are, a good leader. I did experience when I was a junior enlisted, my current supervisor and I at the time didn't really get along very well for personal reasons, and he ended up giving me a markdown on my EPR, and I was like freaking out when I submitted my package to PA school, and I'm like thinking, I'm not gonna get in, oh my god, but it doesn't really matter. It was such a small, minute discrepancy in my whole package. I just made sure the years to follow were phenomenal, and that I did great things and that they were reflected on paper. The third thing that I did to make myself stand out amongst my peers was take on squadron duties. So I put it out there that I was willing to take on more duties outside of my flight, and that I was willing to be UFPM, unit health monitor, things like that. Those are the only things that I can remember. But anyway, so like with UFPM, the whole purpose with that was to show that I could manage more people than just my flight. So my squadron had like 80-ish people, and so I was responsible to make sure that they were timely with taking their annual or biannual PT tests. And so that just shows that I'm willing to take on more responsibility and that I'm willing to grow as a leader. Other things I tried to do, not just for PA, but just in case I wasn't going to be accepted into PA and that I was going to stay enlisted or maybe cross over officer one day as a different job, was try and win an award. Now, it's not something that you have to do like every quarter. My goal was once a year, and it could be at the squadron level, or it could be at the group level. It could be at a smaller level. You don't have to be like all the way up here competing against a million people. But that just kind of makes you stand out amongst your peers. And so that was my goal. And then to be honest with you guys, what really got me into PA school, besides doing what I needed to do, was finding a very supportive PA. I had shadowed about 3 PAs until I found that one that was like perfect for me. The 3 prior, they were great people, but they were just so busy in their own personal life and patient care and being a good officer and their families that they didn't really have time, honestly. And the problem with that is if you're going to find a PA that doesn't really have time for you, then that's going to probably equate to a not so good letter of recommendation that you need from the PA that you're shadowing. So the PA that I shadowed wrote his letter, and then I was able to kind of give some input, and it ended up being a phenomenal letter, and I'm like forever grateful for that PA, because that's huge. That's very huge for an individual that's in the career field that you want to go into, that writes a bond letter of rec for you. So just be mindful of who you want to shadow, because you have a choice, and at the end of the day, you're choosing who you want to watch, who you want to shadow, and who's going to write that letter of recommendation for you. And now for my stats. I know y'all have been waiting for this. So my GPA. So my application was submitted, and after that, once I was accepted, everything was just kind of like washed away. I don't really have hard copies. But from the top of my head, my science GPA was around a 3.6, and my overall GPA was around a 3.8-ish, somewhere around there. Now, I did have one withdrawal. I was taking a math class, and it was just too fast-paced for me, and I just couldn't, I just didn't want to deal with it. So I ended up dropping that, and it was too late in the semester, so I got a W. So if you guys get like a W on your transcript, or you get a grade that's not what you wanted, it's not the end of the world. It's totally okay. It happens. You just need to make sure that other areas of your package make up for that. I did go to college for one semester before I joined the military, and I had a C in like anthropology, and I didn't really care because I was like 18, and I was just like, whatever, I'm just gonna go to school and take some classes right now while I'm waiting to leave for the military. And I was freaking out about that too, and it's okay. It is totally okay. It's nothing to like be crazy worried about. Now for the Air Force, when I applied, you did require an SAT. Now you do not anymore, but I did score a 10-10 in the old SAT system, which was like average, honestly, almost like a little below average. But to be honest, I really didn't study for it. And this is a test that is for high schoolers, and I probably should have cared more, but I didn't. And I was hoping that wouldn't bite me in the ass. The shadowing hour minimum when I applied was like 30 hours. And I did over that. I did like 50 or 60, just because the more you put in, and if you go above and beyond and you do more, it's just how the military is. If you do more, then you're gonna have more of a likely chance of getting to where you want to go. So that was my idea with doing extra. And for those of you that are looking to apply to Ipap through the military and you're already in the military, I have some tips for you guys that I put together. So my first tip is that you find someone who's going through the program, or somebody who maybe has just finished the program, or somebody that you just trust who can look over your package, specifically your letter of intent. My second tip I kind of already mentioned, but just find a good PA. Find a PA that you're comfortable with. Find a PA that you feel is genuine to you, somebody who cares about your career and your future, because that's really going to determine the quality of the letter of recommendation that you're going to get. And my third tip is to look at the requirements, plan it out, come out with a big map, come out with a schedule on when you expect to complete A, B, and C, and just follow that timeline. Just be timely with yourself, you know. If this is something that you really want to do, then you'll follow your plan, your roadmap. Maybe look into doing extra shadowing hours. How can you stand out amongst your peers or somebody who's in your unit that wants to apply as well? What's different about you? What can you make different about yourself compared to that person, just to make yourself stand apart when the board meets? And my last tip is to start working on your package early. I started in July and it wasn't due until January, so that's like 6 months. I had like 6 months to really tweak my letters, 6 months to get my letter of recommendation drafts out to those who I asked to write a letter for me. And trust me, that time was really needed, because they're gonna make their edits. Hopefully if they're good people, in my opinion, they're gonna come back to you. They're gonna say, hey, are you happy with this? And you're gonna say yay or nay, or hey, can you include this? Or maybe something has changed in the last 6 months and you like won an amazing award, or just something has happened where you feel it should be included in your letter. You're gonna need time for that, for edits, and time to get that back. At the time I applied, you needed a really good ASVAB score, like 80, and I did not have that. I retested in June and I did not get a score that I wanted. And so I had to wait 6 months to test again. And so I was able to test again in December. Mind you, the deadline was January. So this whole time, whether I was going to get that good ASVAB score that I needed, I had my package ready just in case I met it. And I did. I ended up getting a little bit above what I should have, and I applied, and here I am. So that is going to conclude this video, guys. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to like this video, and I will see you guys next time.